All right, all right. I'm back. Boom, 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 boom. All right, all right. So we're back. Finally, the day has come for Adam Montgomery, who's been found guilty of killing his daughter. And we covered the trial and the story before that, and it's been a long journey to where we're at right now. We just play a clip here.
Tomorrow is sentencing day for Adam Montgomery, the New Hampshire man convicted of killing his daughter Harmony. It's a case that made national headlines.
And tonight, the two fathers of Harmony's half-brother are raising red flags about tomorrow's hearing. Our NBC 10's Michael Rosenfield explains the controversy.
Harmony, it's me, your brother.
7-year-old Jameson is Harmony Montgomery's half-brother. His adoptive parents, Jonathan and Blair, say they deserve to be among the family members making a victim impact statement at Thursday's sentencing of Adam Montgomery.
But it is important that we look Adam Montgomery in the eye and tell him what he's done to Jameson. He left a void in Jameson's heart.
Adam will be sentenced for the brutal death of Harmony. Jameson's two dads have been told that Jameson himself can speak at the sentencing, or they can make a statement, but only if they use Jameson's words. Both options, they say, would be much too traumatic for their son.
What 7-year-old can walk into a courtroom and articulate the pain that Adam's caused? Jameson knows that Harmony's passed away. He knows someone hurt her and didn't take care of her. But he doesn't know these graphic details. And quite frankly, he shouldn't.
I've never seen anything like this, ever.
Retired Massachusetts juvenile court judge Carol Erskine, who handled Jameson's adoption, says it would be highly inappropriate to allow Jameson to address a convicted killer or to have him write a statement.
It seems pretty obvious to me that a 7-year-old can't stand up in court and talk about the devastation and the sadness that he feels over the death of a sibling.
The New Hampshire Attorney General's office told us Jameson's parents, by state law, are only allowed to make a statement that's, quote, a reflection of the victim's words or other expression of their feelings, and they are not allowed to read their own statement.
Our son
Really?
will forever have a void in his heart. He will forever miss his sister. He will forever...
Okay, they don't have any audio yet. Waiting on the audio. What's up, everybody? Welcome. We're back. Finally get to see this POS sentence. It's been a long time coming. Let me show you a clip. Let me see if I can find it real quick, because I remember one of the, I think it was the gun sentencing. Let's see, Adam Montgomery. Says he's innocent. Innocent. He says he didn't kill his daughter.
Hannah Cotter, WMUR News 9.
And again, the reason Adam Montgomery was in court at all today was for a judge to sentence him after he was convicted as being an armed career criminal related to a weapons theft case.
WMUR's Grace Feinerman is also live at the courthouse. She has details of that sentence. Grace.
That's right. The defense requested 10 to 20 years. The judge calling that inappropriate. Adam Montgomery will spend at least 30 to 60 years behind bars.
That's just for the gun charges. Let me see where's the part here where he says it.
Countless times, but this is the first time that he's addressed these murder allegations himself. He told the judge that he loves his daughter and insists that he did not kill Harmony. Montgomery was arrested and charged with his daughter Harmony's murder this past October, nearly 3 years after investigators believe the little girl was killed. Montgomery is facing 4 charges: second-degree murder for recklessly causing the death of Harmony, falsifying physical evidence for altering, destroying, concealing, or removing Harmony's body, abuse of a corpse, and tampering with a witness or informant. Montgomery was in court today for a separate weapons case and asked the judge to only consider those charges as she weighed his sentence. Harmony's body has never been found, and police are hoping news of this sentence may compel people with information to come forward.
The only consideration that I ask of you this morning is for you not to consider anything as it relates to the case regarding my daughter Harmony. I did not kill my daughter Harmony, and I look forward to my upcoming trial.
You say you look forward to his upcoming trial. Yeah, he didn't show up. I think he was there for like the first day opening statements, and then from the rest on, he wasn't there until maybe the verdict or something. They say he looked forward to it. He's innocent. He didn't do nothing. But there is a whole, if you watch that trial or even read the probable cause affidavit, there is a list of just evidence pointing to this guy. You know, but some people think too that the stepmama, Kayla Montgomery, should have got more time. She got a little plea deal, or she got a little sweetheart deal for giving up all the information about what happened. Real quick too, I just want to send some blessings and love to Chaos's mother. She said that today is her mother's surgery for her breast cancer. So just good, sending good vibes, and hopefully everything goes fine.
To refute those offensive claims.
I'm still convinced that there are people out there that know more about the whereabouts of Harmony, and I encourage you to contact the Manchester Police Department.
And jury selection for the Harmony trial is scheduled for...
Okay, so we covered that. Let's get a backup feed too as well, just in case.
Introducing unbeatable value.
Oh no, I don't want that.
For all businesses.
Oh, they trap you. Never mind. I'll use that. Yeah, he claims that he didn't want to get patted down. He didn't like the way he was being whatever. I just think he didn't want to face it. He didn't want to face the consequences. He didn't want to be seen on TV. He wanted to run from it. Because even for this situation, for the sentencing, he tried to weasel his way out and not have to show up to this, and the judge denied it. No, your ass is coming in. Not running from this one. Let's see what else we got. They're coming in.
9, 4, 8.
Kayla Montgomery. Let's see if I can show a clip. Oh, this was our parole hearing, yeah. Stepmama.
Please be seated right there.
Okay.
And we have to first go on the record, and then we can begin your hearing.
Okay.
This is a parole hearing for Kayla Montgomery, number 92912. Present today is Chairman Roger Phillips of the New Hampshire Adult Parole Board. Also present today are parole board members Horace Enriquez and Tricia Thompson. Let the record reflect also in attendance today representing Victim Services is Lauren Avery, and representing Victim Services from Attorney General's office is Amy Van Hocken. This is hearing number 1.
I wonder too, Debbie, who's going to say anything in court.
Questioning with board member Dr. Horace Enriquez.
Okay.
So, good morning.
Good morning.
Busy day for
Yeah.
sure. you were here under the charge of perjury and making false statements.
Yes.
And we'll come to the details of that in a moment. But why might it be important to tell the truth?
Because being honest is the best thing to do. Because if you're not, other actions happen, and being able to tell the truth takes a lot of weight off of you, and it's better to tell the truth and be honest so that everything else can come to light.
Mm-hmm. So by not telling the truth to the grand jury investigation, what do you think happened or didn't happen?
What didn't happen was I didn't tell the truth about where I was during that time, and not being able to cooperate with the detectives. I got all caught up in the situation, and if I just was honest from the beginning, they could have done their job sooner.
And what was their job?
To find Harmony and know what happened to her, and that's it.
So what did you actually tell the jury that was untrue?
That I got dropped off at my work, which was Dunkin' Donuts, and at 6 a.m. and Adam brought Harmony to meet her mother, and when he came back to pick me up at 2 p.m. she was not in the car, and that was the lie.
I guess the comes to the question was, so Harmony was your stepdaughter, correct?
Yes.
Was she part of your family?
Yes.
So how were you protecting your family by telling this lie?
I didn't protect them at all.
Because that's what, your personal statement talks about that as that you were, the justification for lying is that you were protecting your family.
Yeah.
What were you protecting them from?
From losing our other children, from our family falling apart, even though it was falling apart, and not being held accountable for the actions that happen.
So you were sort of acknowledging the fact that you did lie.
Yes.
Correct.
You think so?
So
yeah, Harmony's body was never found. Buddy says, I believe Kayla knows where she is. She don't want to say because if they do an autopsy, it will show that she was just as guilty. I feel like those other people too, that night, that the guy that got like the U-Haul truck and all this stuff, and I feel like those people know more too than they put on. I feel like they do. And to this day, Harmony still hasn't been found. And this guy hasn't said what he did with her.
So how have you learned how to tell the truth? What tools have you learned?
But the tools that I've learned is understanding situations and being able to deal with them and not hide anything, and ask for help and let people know when something's wrong or it's not, or something doesn't feel right, and being able to just understand situations and know that it's the best to say what's on your mind and say what you know, and just be honest and talk about what you're going through, or if there's anything wrong, just be honest about it.
Like a child, like a toddler or something. I'll be good. I'll behave good. That's why I did it. Stacy says they're still looking. I live not too far from where they're looking. Yeah, exactly. Rhiannon.
You've taken a number of sort of Department of Corrections courses here, journaling and Choose Love. I saw that.
Yes.
You spent a lot of time with the Family Connection Center.
Yes.
Did the Focus program.
I'm still currently in it.
What band are you?
Black.
And when do you think you'll graduate?
Between the end of this month and beginning of next month.
So next 3-4 weeks.
Yeah.
You had a couple hiccups getting through the Focus program. What was that about?
Because I was cheating my medication. So I got, they took me out of the program and I had to wait to get back in.
Did you have to do anything to get back in, or just?
No, you just wait until they put you in again.
Okay. Is cheating of falsification, is it lying?
Yes.
So why would you do that?
Because I wasn't in the right headspace at the time.
Okay. Tell me about, so where are you in your addiction care right now?
I am on the MAT program with Suboxone, and having the tools that I am actually taking seriously and working on myself with the Focus program is a big part.
Give me a tool that you use fairly routinely now.
Instead of, I'm being honest, I'm not lying, and distorted thinking,
Scotland,
which you end up changing your thoughts. I could tell you, I could lie to you and say things, but I'm not. I am.
That whole thing, like somebody's like, it's very like, yeah, childish, but like also just, I'm being honest, and so yeah, I'm honest, and by the way, I'm being honest, and by the way, I could lie to you, but I'm being honest, bro.
I am nervous right now and anxious.
I understand that for sure.
Yeah, so I'm like trying my best to concentrate and not.
Well, the only people you have to talk to are the three of us, okay? So you've got these tools working on yourself. What's your home plan?
So she's expected to be released this month. As far as I know, she's not out yet. But it says here, according to one of these news articles, she's expected to be released in May after pleading guilty in 2022 to perjury charges for lying to a grand jury.
I am working.
Mandy, thank you so much for the 5. Says she knows more than she's saying. Blame everything on drugs and Adam. Right? I guess they're starting late.
Working with my case manager on, we're looking for sober living. I'm looking for any sober living housing, but one that I would feel safe and know that I'm safe.
So you need to, as you know, finish the Focus program.
Yes.
Have a home plan to be released.
Yes.
Now, I want to come back a little bit to, you had tough time in the system, in a lot of the disciplinaries.
Yeah.
You had a lot of work-offs rather
Yes.
than leaving. Have you finished those hours?
Yes.
And the good news is you've had no disciplinary since July, roughly.
Yes.
So starting to pay attention to things.
Yeah.
Sorry, I just have all these little notes here. So tell me about you. You have 4 other children, correct?
Yes.
And what's happening with them?
My oldest son lives with his father and stepmother and brothers. My 3 youngest, which are also my husband, ex-husband's children, they are living with my mother. They've been with her for the past 2.
I'd be afraid for this lady to have custody of those kids.
Almost 2.5 years.
Imagine you're the other parent, and that parent got caught up. You're the opposite end of some chick that went through all this stuff with this guy that watched Harmony get beat to death in a car and helped transport this body multiple places, and watch where he took her out and thawed her out in the bathtub and compressed her or whatever he did more, like for all that shit. And then she comes around, oh yeah, I'm rehabilitated, I'm better. And it's just like, all right, now you got to give some part-time custody of this lady of your kid. Imagine that shit, how wild that would be. Right? But this day and age, almost wouldn't surprise me. Are they starting now? Amazing. Live Life Full 247. Thanks so much for the 11 months. Thanks for covering this, man. Thank you. Thank you for your membership. 11 months. Oh, Angie saying it so. Thank you for the super chat. Andy says heard delayed due to him not being cooperative. I think they're literally going to have to yoke his ass. They're going to have to pull him out of that cell, by his arms and legs, maybe hogtied. They have to pull him out of that shit. They're going to have to put some type of shock device or something on him. He doesn't want to be on TV and camera. He doesn't want to face this sentencing. He just doesn't want to be seen like that on TV. The last memory or whatever video maybe that we'll see of him. He's in denial. He doesn't want to. Let me see if I can find anything about this. Wouldn't surprise me because he didn't want to come to the trial. Oh, it's time. It's time. Oh, it's finally time. Oh, look, here's an interesting video. Manchester Chief of Police sharing a moment with the biological mother ahead of today's sentencing. So the sentencing is probably going to be pretty emotional. This is bio mom. Can't hear it though. Oh, you can't really hear it, but they're having a moment outside. Father says Harmony Montgomery's brother is being silenced at sentencing. What?
Now, we are expecting victim impact statements, but as WBZ's Beth Romano tells us, not everyone affected by Harmony's death will be allowed to speak.
Oh.
His voice was silenced for so long. Harmony's voice was silenced.
The adoptive father of Harmony Montgomery's 7-year-old brother, Jameson, speaking out the day before Adam Montgomery is sentenced for the little girl's murder. Outraged, a judge is limiting victim impact statements from him and his husband, Blair Miller, about the boy's trauma.
They're saying that we cannot speak on Jameson's behalf. It has to be his exact words related to the murder.
And the murder and its brutality is something Jonathan Miller says Jameson has yet to comprehend. His understanding of why she's gone is much different.
Is she in heaven? Is she safe? what happened to her glasses?
But according to the New Hampshire Attorney General, the court allows victims to designate a representative to write or speak on a victim's behalf, but it must be a reflection of the victim's words or other expressions of their feelings, meaning Jamison's dads can't speak on his behalf.
The fact that
he might be coming in. Let's see if this is it. They're rolling his ass in? Oh, okay, there we go. There we go. I see you. Look, he's all big and bad and tough. Egotistical. He thinks he's the shit. That's why he doesn't want to do this. Coming in with a gangster walk, gangster lean. After killing a girl, his own daughter.
Can't speak.
Gotta take the screenshot of that. We gotta update the thumbnail. Look at this shit. He really thinks he's the shit. You can tell by his walk and his demeanor.
Please be seated. Counsel approach.
Oof. Okay, we're getting ready to tell the mic situation is going to be rough.
216-2022 CR20 and 216-2022 CR2372. Counsel identify yourselves for record.
Good morning, Your Honor. Ben Agati for the state. First
Caroline Smith with the public defender. All right. Good morning. One moment, please.
Rough, bro. That's rough. Let me try this other link. Oof. The audio is rough. Just want to play this ad. I want to mute it. Well, I'm mute it. They're slick. Let you play for a second. I do a copyright claim on me now.
Story, Harmony's biological mother, perhaps Harmony's aunt as well. We heard yesterday from the adoptive dads of Harmony's brother, Jamison Miller, 7 years old. They want to put a statement out for him during this proceeding. We'll see how that plays out as well.
You know what,
and we are expecting to hear from prosecutors after all of this is done. We did get a glimpse into what prosecutors are thinking here in their sentencing memorandum that was submitted to the court before this happened. Interestingly, there were no filings submitted when it came to sentencing from the defense team prior to today. So we don't know what they're thinking in terms of what they believe the sentence should be. But the state pointing out, essentially, when you look at how they measured, it's punishment, it's deterrence, and it's rehab. Okay. And they say that this case involves the abuse and murder of an innocent 5-year-old girl at the hands of her biological father, Adam Montgomery, a defendant with extensive criminal history for his age, the age of 34. And many earlier sentences did not deter any future criminal behavior. They said the sentences failed, leaving the court little hope of rehabilitation. They say the court is left with few sentencing goals it can accomplish simply beyond deterrence and of punishment. Jen.
And joining us here in our studio as the sentencing begins is Jesse O'Neill, former New Hampshire prosecutor, legal analyst. Jesse, thank you for being here with us today. This is a court situation that has been years in the making. As you know, you had your hands on this case when you still worked for the New Hampshire prosecutor way back when, Jesse. This goes back to 2019 when reports first began to surface that this little girl had not been seen for some time. As we wait now for things to get underway and the complexities of this case, I'm interested in your early thoughts, having watched where we were with this case to where we are today.
So in terms of my early thoughts, the first thing...
I just want to see how their audio is. We'll keep listening over here.
I'd rather have a live and well Harmony Montgomery here today. She would be turning 10 years old next month, and I think that's what everybody wants. But since this did take a criminal turn, since Adam did murder his daughter Harmony, we've come to a point where now justice will be served and where the families will be able to finally confront Adam with the impact that Harmony's murder has had on them as they've been through this long process and have not yet had that opportunity to confront him.
And now, Jesse, I've been going through the sentencing memorandum here from the state. They point out, in their view, that there has been no remorse when it comes to Adam Montgomery and this crime.
No remorse. Yep. I mean, the live feed's here, but they're both live feeds. I'm just waiting to see if the audio is going to be better on this other broadcast. I'd rather have the audio, the better broadcast. They're not saying anything in the court right now, guys. If y'all want to listen to this one, when the whole thing comes and it goes, don't go say nothing about, oh no, man, you got to change it back, please. All right, y'all want this one, y'all want, all right. Even true crime channels in Italy have Harmony picture when they start. I can put a picture of her if you want. I kind of stopped putting them in the thumbnail. I don't really do that too much anymore. I used to put like the victims there, but I don't really put them kids in there anymore. True crime channels in Italy. You guys watching true crime in Italy? In Italy, they do it. Why don't you do it, Mel?
That was about the phone call.
All right, maybe they fixed the volume. Let's see. If it gets really bad, I'll switch it back.
Thank you.
Always something. I was in trouble.
Attorney Smith? Pardon? Okay, just making sure you're ready for the state to proceed.
Yes.
Okay. When you are ready, Attorney Gotti, you may proceed.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Here. They fixed the audio thing. I guess it's okay. It's better than before, I guess.
Your Honor, as you know, the defendant has been found guilty of beating Harmony Montgomery in July of 2019. Guilty of murdering Harmony Montgomery, a child under the age of 13, beat her to death, transporting and hiding, covered her up to suffer and die in the car while he ate his food. The state's position is, how can the minimum ever apply when this court recognized at the last sentencing hearing that he had 15 years of convictions for, quote, some of the most violent and egregious criminal behavior, end quote, that this court had ever seen? How can the minimum ever apply when he's lied over and over again that he didn't kill his daughter and that she was safe somewhere when he was first asked by many different people? How can the minimums ever apply when he conceded at trial the crimes that involve the horrors that he inflicted upon her body from December 7th on forward up and until March, when he dumped her from the U-Haul that he had conned others into renting for him? How can the minimum ever apply when he's had opportunity after opportunity after opportunity to tell investigators and others where she is right now, and she can't be laid to rest? There's nothing minimal about the crimes that he's being convicted for today. The state is not going to restate everything that's put forth in the state's sentencing memorandum word for word. The state's recommendation at this time is that the defendant serve 4 to 8 years, stand committed, for the crime of second-degree assault, which occurred in July of 2019, and that should then be followed by consecutive sentences of 3.5 to 7 years for his falsifying physical evidence, for what he did to Harmony's body, with a concurrent sentence of 12 months for the abuse of corpse misdemeanor, followed by another consecutive 3.5 to 7 years for witness tampering, for beating his spouse to ensure that she would stick to the story he created, followed by not less than a minimum of 45 years to life in the charge of second-degree murder. The state recognizes that this is just a recommendation. The decision today lies with the court, regardless of what the state says. But that's the state's recommendation today. However, Your Honor, if the defendant will right now tell us where he hid her body, sufficient for us to find her, if he'll tell us right now where he put that CMC bag, so that her family and the Manchester Police Department can recover her remains in the next 7 days, then the state would amend its recommendation to a minimum of 35 years to life, and let the second-degree assault, falsifying physical evidence, abuse of a course, and witness tampering sentences be served concurrent. But right now, Your Honor, if he tells us where we can recover her and we do so within the next 7 days, we will change our recommendation to 35 years. Since that offer has been rejected, Your Honor, that is yet another reason why the minimum should not apply. What I just said was not a stunt. It was not a theatrical event. I stated in closing arguments that there are moments in life where we are tested, where our failure or our success lies in whether we do the right thing at that moment in time. And time again, and about 30 seconds ago, the defendant chose again to be heartless and immoral and selfish and unapologetic, which for the purposes of you deciding his punishment and rehabilitation and his deterrence and coming up with the right sentence for him means that he has just yet shown you again in this courtroom, and for anybody else, that he is heartless, immoral, selfish, and an unapologetic murderer of his own child. Now, as I was saying again, there's certainly nothing minimal about what he did to Kayla Montgomery, to abusing her into lying for him. There's simply nothing minimal about what the defendant did to Harmony and what he did afterwards. And that's why now, having just given an opportunity, we're asking you to impose nothing less than 45 to life for the sentence of homicide. You should impose more, but 45 is a bare minimum that this defendant deserves for what he did to Harmony. She is gone forever. She didn't get sick and get old and pass away. Something didn't just happen that night. He happened. He wasn't able to be surrounded by the people that loved her. And instead, when this court determines punishment, deterrence, and rehabilitation, it should consider that Harmony died in pain and in fear under a blanket. And nobody deserves that, especially a 5-year-old child. And that kind of death is different and weighs in favor of more than the minimum sentence here. You can, if there was a thief here, you could order the return of stolen property, or you could order restitution. When you sentence a defendant for an assault case, the victim can receive treatment and compensation for her injuries. But in a murder case, there's nothing directly that this court can do for Harmony. She's already ultimately paid the price of the defendant's anger and cruelty and frustration. But what can be done is recognize the value of her life and the terrible way she died by giving the defendant a significant prison sentence, something more than just the minimum, and certainly not the sentence that the defendant may ask you for in a few moments. You can make sure that he's not going to hurt another child. You can do that for Harmony. And in that process, you'll also be doing justice for the people who cared about Harmony, for the many people that worked hard to hold her killer accountable. Except most of those people, several of them, are in the courtroom today. Many more are out there. Some who are present here today would like a chance to address the court, Your Honor. Most notably, and I think has to be first and foremost, Your Honor, is Harmony's biological mother, Crystal Sword. She's present here today. She has prepared a victim impact statement that we have written that we can provide to the court afterwards, but we would like her to be able to speak to you and present her thoughts.
Should we do so?
Okay, so biological mom, Crystal Sorey.
Thank you. To the monster who murdered my baby. I did not kill my daughter, and I look forward to trial to refute those offensive claims. That is all you have said about my sweet daughter's life. Another lie, like all the other ones you've told. Like the cover story you told, that you dropped her off with me, knowing full well and good if you had, she would be thriving right now. Not beaten and stuffed in a CMC bag where you put her. She had a life worth living, unlike your own. And it bothered you to your core that she was nothing like you and everything like me. Beautiful inside and out, funny, smart, sassy, loving, and most of all, kind. She wasn't a coward like you, and I'll be forever grateful for that. You're a coward who has to be in control of everything and everyone around you, insecure and paranoid. The list goes on. She is none of those things. She lit up a room when she walked in. She made a mark wherever she went, and you couldn't stand it. She was an incredible big sister. She loved her brother, Jameson, to her core, and I know she loved your sons too, no matter the picture you tried to paint of her. December 7th will forever be the darkest day of my life. The night you beat her to death, I woke up in the middle of the night in agonizing pain, from my head to my toes, and I felt like I was dying, not knowing, in the most brutal way, a part of me was dying. Suffering in that back seat for 20 minutes while you and your wife fed yourselves and your other children, and you got high. 20 minutes that you could have used to save her life. Did she cry for me? Did she scream? Did she beg you to stop? I'll never know. Because like I said, you're too much of a coward to tell the truth and do one good thing for Harmony. You may have taken her physically from me, but she is always, always with me. And I will forever look for her until the end of my days. But I hope that every day and every night you're on this earth, you hear nothing but my baby's giggle. I doubt you ever heard it in this life. All she knew with you was misery and fear. I hope you hear her sweet voice telling you to stop hitting her over and over, or how she looked the very last time you saw her, broken and bruised. You were supposed to protect her, yet you did the opposite. Harmony wasn't anything to you but property that you could throw away when she was more of a burden to you than a meal ticket. Your hatred for me led you to act on your monstrous, controlling ways, and you took her because you just could not let her come home where she belongs. My love for Harmony outweighs my hatred for you, but they both gave me the strength to listen to my instincts and to help the police put you away forever. Harmony will live on through me, and you can't do anything about it. You can't do anything to stop it. I wish you nothing but pain and misery for the rest of your pathetic life, and with or without you, we will find my daughter. I always knew you weren't a good person, which is why I left you. I just never knew to what extent, but now I know you're just plain evil.
I wonder if he turned back at all to look at her or not. He's just gonna act like nothing even was said or nothing happened. There he is. He's saying something, maybe. I don't know.
Brittany's sorry. Her aunt. She would also like to address the book.
Brittany's sorry. The aunt's coming on now. You guys are true POS, man.
To the most vile human on the planet. The day Harmony was born is the day that will forever feel like it was just yesterday. My sister was in labor and you were in prison. Always keeping you posted. I remember that phone call with you right after she was born and they were both in the recovery room. I was talking you down from how scared you were because you just wanted to be the best dad. And I believed in you and reminded you how good you were with my daughter, that you would be the best dad and not to worry. I couldn't even believe how wrong I actually was. You are a monster, Adam. Not the monster who's in your nightmares or the ones that terrify you when you're little. You're the monster that pretends to be a daddy. And then brutally abused, tortured, and beat your 5-year-old daughter to death for the accidents you caused by locking her in a room 24/7, traumatizing her and making it blatantly clear that she could not trust, count on, or come to you when she needed someone. You didn't fight for her for 4 years like you had Kayla claim on your behalf. You lied and you forged documents You did it to have control again over something in my sister's life. You never for 1 second loved Harmony, because if you did, she'd still be here today. You wanted to control her, and when you couldn't, over and over again, because she reminded you of my sister, you took her from us because you didn't want anyone else to have her. More proof of the absolute coward you are. The fact that you sat in court at your gun trial, like my sister said, and tried to use Harmony for some sympathy by saying you cannot wait to refute the offensive claims that you killed your daughter and you didn't and you loved her. Jury selection day, you showed up smiling at the jurors, proving exactly how evil you are. Then tell the judge the day of opening statements that you did all but kill her and expect a bunch of people to believe yet another lie from you. Because your egotistical ignorance makes you believe you are somehow smarter than anybody. You have the nerve to claim to be a victim of the disease of addiction and how it destroyed your life and all the crybaby stories you tell. The fact is this: you are a selfish, evil, conniving, poor excuse for a human being, and I hope you sit in prison every day while she haunts you day and night until it's unbearable, because that's what you deserve. I used to call you my brother. We used to talk about everything. I've seen you break down and cry and open your heart up to me. Even when you first got Harmony, I messaged you and I told you that I would help in any way if I can, if you needed it for Harmony and wanted to be a part of her life. And just like anyone else that reached out, you blocked me. You had so many chances to change the result and let her go with people that loved her, but you didn't, because you knew she would have told all about the abuse, so you killed her. If you're any type of man at all, Adam, or you ever loved her for 1 second, you would tell us where she is, so at least she can rest in peace after everything you put her mind, body, and soul through. Regardless, karma will get even, because you don't destroy such a beautiful soul the way you did and not reap what you sow. So may it be.
I wonder if he'll say anything.
Individuals in this particular event who is not present here in the courtroom today, but as the victim of the crime, that is the victim of the crime of witness tampering, is Ms. Kayla Montgomery. She has prepared a statement. We have submitted there. We will be submitting that to the court as well. It has been provided to defense counsel. She has asked a victim advocate to please read the statement for her.
If the victim advocate could please state her name for the record, and also the Kayla Montgomery's statement.
Certainly.
My name is Amy Van Auken, and I'm reading a statement on behalf of Kayla Montgomery. Goodbye. I wanted to write a letter to you because it's the only way to tell you how I feel. I don't know about you, but I need some kind of closure. I will forever have a place in my heart for you, whether you believe me or not.
Ridiculous.
You were my best friend, my husband, the person I chose to spend the rest of my life with. You are the father of our children we have together, and I'm forever grateful for having them. I will never forget the birth of our first son we have.
Still simping.
That was one of the many best days of my life. We had just gotten married and started a family of our own. I'll never forget when your grandmother said to me, "You're the best thing that has ever happened to my grandson." I will always remember the births of all the children we have. Also, when you stepped up to be a father to Harmony. You worked so hard to get custody of her, and it took a few years, but you got her. I won't forget the day we picked her up and brought her home. We were so excited. Then, during the summer, was when we both started to go downhill because of relapse. After 5 years of sobriety, that was the beginning of the chaos. By the time Thanksgiving came around in the year 2019, we were losing everything. My job, our place to live, and after living in a car for a few weeks, we lost that. At the same time, Harmony dies because of your anger and hitting her so many times. We didn't even know she passed away until the car died, and we had to take our kids out of the car. She didn't respond. She was lifeless. Then a couple years go by, and during those years, we had to keep quiet about her being gone. You told me to stick with the story that you dropped her off at 6 a.m. at Dunkin's, where I no longer worked at, and brought her to her mother, Crystal, so she could stay there because it was better for Harmony. Then you came and picked me up when my shift was done at 2 p.m. She wasn't in the car. She was with her mother. During those years of having to keep quiet, you started physically and mentally abusing me, accusing me of cheating on you, telling on you, and trying to kill you. The first time that you really hurt me was when you accused me of cheating and had me on the living room floor against the corner of the wall, telling me if I didn't tell you that I cheated on you, that you were going to F me up. When I never cheated on you and said that I didn't, You punched me right in the face a couple of times because you said I was lying, and I wasn't. So then I said, yes, I cheated on you so you wouldn't hit me, but you still did anyway. You started getting crazy when we would get high on crack. I told you I did things that I really didn't do because you said if I told you that I did whatever you'd accuse me of, that you wouldn't hit me, and I was dumb enough to believe you. No matter what I said or did, you would hit me, punch me, spit in my face, or would have me in a chokehold and cover my mouth so I couldn't scream. You are not the person I married, not the person who loved me and who never hurt me. It's like I married my father. I never would have thought I would have to run away from you until I knew I had to take our kids and leave you. I'll never forget that day either. It was one of the hardest things for me to do. The last couple of nights after you got arrested the first time, I was sleeping with a knife because I did not know what you were going to do to me. After I found out that you got arrested, I went back to our apartment to grab a few things, and then I made the decision of not going back to live there anymore. I couldn't stay in the apartment after a year of chaos with you in there. Just all bad memories, barely any good ones. We had about 5 months total that year of living there that were good times. Other than that, nothing but bad memories. I'm so angry and hurt by you. I know you probably hate me because I had to do the right thing, but also because of all the bad, not only did you lose your rights to our children, but so did I. Now I'm going to have to keep fighting for them to at least be back in their lives. You seem to forget you cheated, not me, and you just left the kids and I for some girl, packed your stuff and left to another state. I called you out on your BS when you're on your way to Maine, and I also called you out for being with someone else months before you left to Maine. You accused me, but you were the one cheating. The day you got arrested on January 2022, you called me and said to tell Kelsey you're sorry about her car. Yeah, right. That's all you're worried about, not your wife and children you may never see again. No apology for cheating on me and making me think I was crazy. So I gotta do all I can to get back on track with my life. You caused so much hurt and pain. I don't even know why I still care about you and actually feel bad for you. Oh, maybe it's because I'm not a cold, heartless person and still have some care about you. I was in love with you once. Now I still love you because you're the father of our children. This is goodbye for now. Maybe I'll see you at the future in some point. Goodbye, Adam. And then she lists the day they started their relationship was October 8th, 2015. And the day they married was Harmony's birthday, June 4th, 2017.
I cannot even believe it. Why was she even allowed? How is she a victim?
Your Honor, one family member who I've heard from yet.
I mean, I know she claims she was hit and beat, but what does that do with Harmony?
Harmony's younger brother, Jameson.
She's the one that helped
with Harmony up until the age of 1, saw her as late as 18 months in his life. Both of his parents are here, Mr. Blair Miller and also Mr. Jonathan Bobbitt Miller, and they have a statement they would like to present.
Yo, I cannot even believe that just happened now. It was just about the relationship.
Thank you so much for allowing us to speak here today. Good afternoon to you. My name is Blair Miller, and my husband Jonathan and I are here today on behalf of our son Jameson, who we adopted in 2019. He is a 7-year-old boy who came to us from foster care. Jameson and his sister Harmony were in and out of different foster homes together. They seem to be on a path of surviving their troubling relationships, their circumstances together. To understand the true impact that this loss has had on Jameson and will continue to impact him, you need to hear the stories he tells us and wants you to know. He wants everyone to know. When we first adopted Jameson, he would always tell us about Harmony. He would tell us about her beautiful blonde hair. He would tell us about her glasses. He still does. He would tell us about her bright blue eyes. He would tell us about her wonderful smile that lit up a room. He would tell us that she was there to help him. Jameson has constantly asked us, where's Harmony? Recently, he once was struggling to go to bed. He looked off in the shadows of his closet and said, is that Harmony there? Looking back at me. These are no questions for a little boy to be asking. He no longer can hold on to that hope. Since learning about the death of innocent and beautiful Harmony, Jameson has suffered. Just a few weeks ago in school, his teacher asked him to draw a picture of his family. He drew a picture of his 2 dogs, his 2 brothers, his 2 dads, but then he put a heart above all of us, and inside that heart was the letter H. He said that was Harmony looking down on us. Jameson constantly asks us, who took my sister away? Adam, you took away his best friend, his sister. You introduced murder into his life and forever created a void that can never be filled. We will never have the right answers for him on this and can only tell him Harmony is an angel now. Jameson will grow up forever wondering how this happened, how his sister, who looked over him in foster care, didn't have anyone looking over her. You chose, Adam, to take our little boy's sister away. You don't ever deserve another choice in a free society. Your Honor, we are asking you to impose the maximum sentence.
Your Honor, this courtroom, and especially Adam, I'm Jonathan Bobbitt Miller, and I'm the proud adopted dad of Jameson Miller, the proud young brother of Harmony. Harmony is the reason that we're all here today. Harmony, the child Adam that you murdered, you introduced a nightmare into our son. You introduced evil of this world to him. You have manipulated the criminal justice system until now, and trying to explain that to our 7-year-old son is hard. Before Jameson knew of Harmony's tragic fate, he would go to the door when the doorbell rung, and he would say, maybe she's found me. He would search a park, he would look at school, and if there was any girl that had blonde hair and glasses, he would go up to them and say, are you Harmony? I'll never forget the day that we told Jameson that Harmony was in heaven. He's a very active kid, and that day he just stopped and he held us and he said, no, I need my big sister. Why? Why did this happen? These are questions that Jameson has had and continues to ask. Daddy and Dada, what happened to my sister? Why did she die? Why would anyone hurt her? How about her glasses? Were they okay? My God, how will we ever help him process this horrible and brutal details of his big sister? Adam, you have to know you did that. As we celebrated Jameson's birthday in 2019 with the Mickey and Minnie Mouse theme, we had Mickey Mouse there. It's a Disney theme that he shares with his big sister and his mom. He wanted to save a gift from her that day, made from his Nana. It was a Minnie Mouse pillow, but instead, you were beating her to death. That was the same day. If Jameson was old enough to speak to this court today, he would want you to know the void that you left in his heart that can never be filled. Adam, he would plead with you to please tell us where she is. Let him have a place to go and remember his sister, please. He remembers her feeding him. He remembers when they would be at his foster home when she was there, that they would play in the park together. He remembers her glasses. He remembers how proud she was. How do we tell our 7-year-old that you murdered his sister, his protector, his best friend, and you showed no remorse? I wish they could be happy together today. Jameson asked, is she unhappy in heaven? If she can see him, and if we can visit her, why would anyone hurt her? That's what you've done to her son when you beat his sister to death. In her family, we really believe in love and forgiveness. I'm just not sure how to teach her son how to forgive the monster that murdered his sister. We as a family are leaning on God for that. Jameson also knows about the helpers. He knows about this court. He knows about the jury. He knows about the police from the local to federal. He knows about this community. We've told him these were the people that helped his sister when she was hurting. I'd like to share with you a few words that Jameson, as we were talking to him, because he wanted to know, where are you guys going? What are you doing? And I said, we're going to speak for your sister, and we're going to tell everyone how important she was to you. And this is what he said. Tell everyone my name is Jameson. I'm 7 years old. My sister's Harmony. I love Harmony. I miss her. I hope I get to see her again. My sister had beautiful blue eyes, and we smile alike. I liked having fun with her on the playground. She gave me a broken Elmo toy that was hers. I still have that, but I have the Minnie Mouse pillow and a new Elmo that's not broken. I keep it in my closet for her. I'm really sad she's an angel. I miss her. She was my best friend. I hope she can see me playing basketball, being silly with my brothers. And I wish I could bring Harmony to my school to meet my friends and my teacher. She loves the color purple and Minnie Mouse. I made a heart for her in purple and red with mirrors so I can look for her in heaven. I hope she sees me. The red is for my heart and the purple is for her. I love my sister. I miss her. I hope she's eating M&Ms in heaven. I hope her glasses are safe and not broken. And I miss you, and I will always love you, big sister. Thank you, Your Honor.
Your Honor, finally, with us today is Harmony's foster mother, Michelle Rafferty. Harmony was alive for 66 months on this world. And for 44 of those months, she was with the Raffertys, Michelle and her husband, Tim. They've both prepared a statement as well and would like to speak with you today.
Your Honor, I'm grateful for the opportunity to speak here today. This is truly the hardest thing I have ever had to do. My name is Michelle Raftery, and along with my husband and my 5 children, we have the privilege of being Harmony's foster family. We shared our hearts, our home, and our life with her, and she filled our lives with joy and laughter. We lost a daughter, and my children lost their sister. We grieve for her every day because we thought we'd always see her again. Harmony was full of life and always happy. We jokingly told her that she leaves a sparkle wherever she goes. She loved to be in the middle of everything that was going on, and she never missed a beat. Harmony always had 2 mummies, me and Crystal, but only had one daddy, and that was my husband, Tim. I am beyond grateful Harmony had the relationship with a loving daddy and knew what that relationship should look like. She loved being a sister and had an amazing bond with our youngest daughter, and when our second daughter had her baby, she was delighted to be an auntie. Harmony was a friend to everyone, but she also had a best friend named Dominic. She loved going to church and loved going to school. She loved Minnie Mouse, playing outside, playing dress up, playing house, and loved to cuddle. She had a large community that she loved, and they loved her. She was kind and compassionate and always willing to share, even her Oreo cookies and favorite doll stroller. Since everything came to light, I have had trouble sleeping and concentrating. We had to explain to our children things that we never wanted them to hear and explain to them why a father who was supposed to love and protect her was being arrested for murder. Your Honor, I'm asking you to give Adam the fullest sentence. Adam is hateful and selfish and continues to be so by not telling us where her body is. Adam knew he could have brought Harmony back to us. He had options, but always chose himself each time. He never put Harmony first. There were consequences for his actions, and he will have to live with them the rest of his life. Our family is strong and beginning to heal by the grace of God. We know Harmony is safe in the arms of Jesus, never to be hurt again. So despite the evil brought to light in this trial, we will continue to move forward in love because love wins. Thank you, Your Honor.
Your Honor, in addition to those statements, the state is asking you to consider not only all of the details and the facts that you heard during trial, and not only, as you would for any defendant, their criminal history, of which is laid out there and which this court is already well aware of, But we are also asking the court to take into account 2 additional charges which are still pending. Firearm that was belonging and was owned by a Mr. Ewell, and also a high-point handgun. These are 2 charged but not yet adjudicated offenses that can be considered by the court when it comes to sentencing. We did not ask you to take the defendant's murder of his daughter into account at the last sentencing for the other firearms, given that it had occurred before her death. But these 2 not yet tried armed career criminal charges, offenses for weapons, belonging to Mr. Ewell and the high-point handgun should be considered to show that the minimum does not apply to this man. The court is already aware of the defendant's statements to many other people, many other people through many different facets of his life, with regards to being asked where his daughter was and for him to lie to them. This was subject to many different interpretations. The court has discussed this on different events, different times, in different hearings. With regards to those events and with regards also to the gun crimes that I speak of, Mr. Ewell's firearm and the high-point handgun, we feel that the state has already shown the requisite level of certainty that the defendant has done these crimes. He's been indicted by the grand jury. We've discussed them. Parts of the evidence that support them have already been presented to the court, but we have also asked for Detective John Dunleavy to be present from the Manchester Police Department, who can provide additional information if the court so chooses to hear that. So at this point, I would leave it up to the court's discretion if and when the court should be considering those 2 charges as part of coming up with the appropriate sentence for the defendant today. But he is here in the courtroom.
All right, thank you. I don't feel that I need to hear from him at this juncture. If the court feels it necessary to hear from him, I will do so later. Thank you.
Thank you. Your Honor, one of the things that you saw during trial were the many different ways in which the defendant tried to conceal his crime, not just physically, but also with false statements and lies to others. Lies as to where she was, as to what had occurred, where it had occurred in the car, where he was at the time. Even lies, as you heard from some witnesses, as to whether or not he loved or cared for Harmony in the first place. You heard and saw the defendant try to sell his lies to anybody that would listen. And why does that matter? Because it's one thing to deny the charges that the state then can hold the state accountable to bring forth proof beyond a reasonable doubt, but it's another one to actively lie and deceive and blame others. And a defendant who does that, like this defendant did, is different and is deserving of more than the minimum punishment. You've even heard yourself how the defendant tried over and over again to get Kayla Montgomery to lie for him. The testimony we heard at trial included the verbal threats to her, beating her, photographs that we saw of her black eyes, testimony from other independent witnesses of him either hurting her or her running away, being injured, or grabbing a cell phone out of her hands and manipulating her even months later to get rid of telephones that had evidence of the crimes on them. Seen those bruises, you've heard those stories from independent eyewitnesses. That was not just an attack on her, that was an attack on our system of justice. And to hold him accountable for that independently, consecutively, to the actual underlying crime of the homicide and the second-degree assault from before. As you've seen in this case, if we don't do that, if we don't hold people accountable for those actions afterwards, then the criminal justice system is failing because it allows defendants everywhere under the concept of general deterrence to think that they can tamper with witnesses and destroy evidence. And if they're caught, well, it'll just be subsumed by the underlying crime. That's another reason why the more than the minimum sentence is necessary. And finally, I'm not going to go into full detail on it, Your Honor, but you've seen in the state sentencing memorandum, there are 3 cases that are on point and when looking for comparison here. And those are State versus Caitlin Marin, State versus Mark Heath, and State versus Chad Evans, all cited in our sentencing memorandum. In those matters involved individuals who were convicted of reckless second-degree murder for injuring children. And all 3 of those individuals, either immediately after trial or at sentence review, all had sentences that were in their 40s. And all 3 of those people didn't have the criminal history that this defendant has. And all 3 of them didn't do afterwards to their victims and what they did to their bodies, what he did to harm them. So in the state's mind, how can the defendant here get anything less for that? His behavior is worse. When we look at that, if and when he should ask for sentence review after today, if they look at that, we don't feel that there's any way that they could equate that his behavior was less than theirs, or that his punishment should be less than theirs. There's nothing about this little girl's death or her suffering or what her father did afterwards that can ever be classified as minimal. He is still determined 5 years later that she have no peace, no justice, no rest. So the state is asking him to do what justice requires, and that's nothing less than the state's recommended sentence. Harmony deserves it, her family deserves it, the people of the state deserve it, and definitely this defendant deserves it. Thank you.
Thank you. Attorney Smith?
Thank you, Your Honor. I'd like to start reading from State versus Willie at 163 New Hampshire 532. We held that just as it is unconstitutional to increase a defendant's punishment because he refuses to admit guilt, so too is it unconstitutional for a court to draw an adverse inference of lack of remorse from a defendant's silence at sentencing. Because the only affirmative way for a defendant who maintains his innocence through the criminal process to express remorse at sentencing is to forgo his right to remain silent. Using a defendant's silence at sentencing to infer that he lacks remorse generally violates the defendant's constitutional privilege against self-incrimination. The state said that their offer to reduce or offer a reduced sentence of 35 years if Adam Montgomery took particular action within the next 7 days, and his reaction to that reflected heartless, immoral, no remorse. You can imagine, anybody can, that somebody walking into a sentencing hearing for something where he maintains his innocence that he did not do would be a difficult situation. That person would be assisted by his counsel, who would understand that being vilified for something that you didn't do would be difficult, who would understand that when people are trying to throw him away forever for something that you didn't do would be difficult, and that he would be schooled in reactions and how to react and how to appropriately respond within this courtroom. The state was doing a stunt. They were seeking a reaction today from Adam Montgomery in the courtroom by their stunt, or something that they said, give us 7 days, and then Mr. Montgomery, acting appropriate with his counsel's representation, was called heartless, immoral, and no remorse. Mr. Montgomery does not have to express remorse here for something where he maintains his innocence. It would violate his constitutional rights against self-incrimination. And talk a little bit about the use of priors, as argued in the state's memorandum, to elevate what is a sentence as a mandatory minimum that is extraordinarily high, and it is high because anytime a child dies, an innocent child dies, deserves a strong punishment. And the legislature has spoken with a mandatory minimum of that punishment. The lack of rehabilitation is what the priors are put on for. I don't think anybody can predict what another person would be like after 35 years of incarceration. To assume the lack of rehabilitation for prior records that occurred from the time that Mr. Montgomery was quite young that many, fueled by drug and drug addiction, that was introduced to his life by some of the very witnesses, family members, wives, who participated in maintaining his addiction and in a lot of the conduct that he did in the prior record. He is worthy of rehabilitation, especially after what would be the mandatory minimum under this sentence. The use of the remaining charges also are inappropriate here. You did not consider the charge of homicide at his prior sentencing on the armed career criminal charges that he faced May a year ago. But you did consider the armed career criminal charges, or at least you didn't indicate that you didn't, and the state certainly argued that they should be considered as well. All of that conduct occurred in a relatively short time period, and while we dispute the probable cause, even the law says that you can consider the grand jury indictment as probable cause, which I think is completely inappropriate, but that is the law. However, his sentences on armed career criminal took into account both his prior and his subsequent gun charges. He's serving a sentence currently of what comes to be about 32, because he got 15 as a minimum on one, 15 as a minimum on another. The 5 years of the 7-year minimum on the final charge that you sentenced him on, you suspended 2 years. Didn't even totally give him the max on that, but certainly increased his sentence in your evaluation of his prior conduct, as well as the pending gun charges. Another issue I need to address, and I'm afraid we only addressed part of it in chambers, my fault. The names of the no contact order I don't have, so we don't have a position on that as far as the names. However, since the state has asked for an incarcerated sentence on each of the charges, I don't believe a no contact order can be issued on the charges under interpretation of current law. However, I will say that the names will be provided to Adam, and I can assure this court that Adam will not seek any contact with the Sorrell family. Family. So, what do you do for sentencing Adam Montgomery? Adam Montgomery does not dispute the time sought by the state for abuse of corpse and falsifying evidence. The state has requested maximum sentences on that consecutive, and Adam does understand that it affected the investigation and that behavior affects justice in the court system. And he does not dispute the sentences requested by the state on that. However, while he maintains his innocence, he also knows that you will be sentencing him on the other charges because he has been convicted, and any other action he takes will have to be after sentencing. So as to the other charges, while he maintains his innocence on each of them, he can't offer a sentence because no sentence would be fair for him to say that they would be fair when he is maintaining his innocence and he did not commit those charges. So he can't offer you something that's appropriate for them, but he would request that you take into account his objections to the memorandum and especially his silence here at sentencing, as being an appropriate position to take when he is asserting his innocence. We request that the court issue a sentence that is less than what the state has asked, and that it make the remaining charges concurrent with abuse of corpse and falsifying evidence. Adam Montgomery did not kill his daughter, but when he discovered his daughter's death, he broke, and he did inexplicable things. Even he can't explain his actions. But eventually he pulled it together, and he was able to say goodbye to his daughter. And that's what he did. I may have a moment, Your Honor?
Yes, you may.
Actually, my co-counsel has reminded me of something, and again, this was something that was not in the sentencing memorandum, and it was last minute, and it is the stunt that was pulled by the state, and it is that plea offers, responses, negotiations are inadmissible, and I think that they are inadmissible for any purpose, including sentencing. Certainly, I know in other cases, if I was to say the state offered something pretrial and now they're seeking twice that, the state would shut me down under that rule. 410? 410. So I think that entire stunt should be stricken from the record as well.
Briefly, Your Honor, I made no such comment about plea offers that were made prior to trial in any way, shape, or form. When I called the defendant heartless, immoral, selfish, and unapologetic, and in doing so, it's about the two crimes that he has admitted that he has done. It's the falsifying physical evidence, and it's the abuse of corpse, which he admitted and even told the jury that they could find him guilty of. Those are the ones relating to the placement of the body. There's no reason to hold on to that piece of information with regards to that. The statement is not offering anything because this completely lies within the hands of the court. The statement is to make the change of what the state's recommendation would be. It's not an offer of a guaranteed sentence in any way, shape, or form. And again, it's on those charges, the one where he does not maintain his innocence anymore. Falsifying physical evidence and abuse of a corpse. I think just separately, Your Honor, with regards to the victims that the state is asking for the no contact order, that would include Crystal Sorey and her family, Sorey. That would also include the Miller family, Your Honor, and that would be Harmony's brother's family, and as well as the Rafferty family. I can provide those spellings to the court monitor afterwards. I think those are the only additional things that the state wants to add.
Attorney Gotti, what do you say to the state v. Toll issue that's raised by the defense about the no contact order on stand committed sentences, where all of the sentences that you're asking for in this case are stand committed, but you're also asking for the no contact provision?
Your Honor, I think with regards to that, rather than to prolong this particular hearing, the state would then also ask for a $5,000 fine on each felony for that to be suspended for the period so that the no contact order can be obeyed during that time period. And if he violates the no contact order, then that could be imposed.
Suspended for what period?
I would say suspended for a period of, well, on the two Class B misdemeanors, I would say suspended for at least a period of 7 years upon the beginning of that serving of that sentence. And for the charge of second-degree murder, I would say beginning on for a 20-year time period, beginning when he starts serving that sentence.
Do you want to address that, Attorney Smith? I'm just thinking about that for a moment. I mean, Attorney Gotti, on that, the consequence of a violation of the order would be the imposition of the fine.
That's correct, Your Honor.
Okay.
For clarity in sentencing, I think 5,000 is illegal for any one of those charges, although certainly combinations of certain charges can equal that amount. I think it's 6 of one, half a dozen of another, because as I said, with regard to the family, Crystal Sorey and her family, Mr. Montgomery will not be reaching out to any of them.
All right, thank you. Council, approach for just a minute.
So still maintaining his innocence, huh? He's innocent, even though he's found guilty. Still smug, a piece of shit. And I guess he believes it's just
more procedural motions, Jen, related.
I guess he just feels deny. They don't have a body, so it's not true. Obviously, he's just going to go to the end of the world with that. Maybe he's thinking he's going to get an appeal. But Kayla is honestly a POS as well. She's disgusting. And to do that, victim impact, and all it was about was the relationship that she had with this guy. And still, I still love you, and your child, follow my kid, blah, blah. Even though he beat Harmony to death. And for the people that didn't really watch this trial, his story was basically that, oh, she did it. And she was like, no, well, he did it. Evidence points to him, I believe, but I believe she claimed that he threatened her, and so that's why she didn't. But for months and months and months moving a body, how would you keep your kid around somebody that's killed another child? She helped. I feel she helped him with the lies. Probably helped him move the body. I mean, she literally did. She transported Kayla's body in a stroller with her kids. She moved the body, walked across, I don't know how many blocks where this guy was working, so he could put it in the freezer. So, I guess her testimony was maybe key to help out, to help to find this guy guilty, but that was so disgusting. Where it's supposed to be about the impact and like the effects, and you get to speak on behalf. Or here on the back.
So I can consider all of the information and statements that have been provided, and then I'll come back and announce my sentence. Thank you. All right.
Are they taking a little break? Let me see.
As folks here, okay, at 2:45 or so, we should be hearing from the judge her decision. You see folks standing here as she goes back to chambers to ponder over everything she just heard, review the memorandums that she's received from the varying sides about how long this sentence should be for Adam Montgomery. Jen, we should definitely discuss what, that took up a lot of, the prosecution's time when they were making their case. And then also you heard the defense's rebuttal about this notion that Adam should give up the location of Harmony Montgomery's body. And in exchange for that, he would get a lessened sentence suggestion from the state, which would, in theory, give him the possibility of getting out decades earlier.
Right. And in response to that mentioned by Benegati, defense counsel here, Caroline Smith, said that was unconstitutional, in fact, for the court to draw upon Adam's lack of remorse and his silence, saying that would violate his right to self-incrimination, going on to say that he maintains his innocence.
We have Jesse O'Neill with us, a former prosecutor in the New Hampshire AG's office. So, Jesse, I know, early on you were involved in this case. Let's start with this notion that right in the middle of sentencing, we heard from Benegati, the attorney there, suggesting, look, we will give you this minimum sentence if you tell us where her body is with actionable information, and we can recover that in the next 7 days. You also heard from Caroline Smith, the defense attorney there, suggesting that, number one, that's not even admissible, and number two, she called it a stunt. Curious what you think about one, that move, and two, the broader context of what she was arguing.
I disagree that it was a stunt. Look, the only person that we're aware of that knows the location of Harmony's body is Adam Montgomery. And I get that Adam is maintaining his innocence despite having been convicted by a jury of 12 of his peers. But he did concede at the trial the charges of falsifying physical evidence and abuse of a corpse, which are the charges that are directly related to the disposal of his body. So while he maintains his innocence regarding the murder of Harmony and his involvement with that, he's all but admitted that he did have a role in disposing of her body. So in terms of the defense's argument that it would be unconstitutional and require him to essentially be testifying against himself in order to reveal that information, it's information he's already conceded that he has by conceding his role in those charges.
Benegati went on to make that point, saying, no, this is what he's already admitted to doing. So in essence, if he's admitted to doing this, he would know with the abuse of a corpse where that corpse ended up. Why not relay back that information? And it is not to be stricken from the record, and it is a no violation of his right to not self-incriminate. And on that too, I'm wondering your thoughts, Jesse, on now that the judge goes into chambers and takes everything under consideration, how much of what the victims supplied to her will matter when she comes back?
Wendy, thank you so much.
Testimony and the statements provided by the victims will have a large impact. That's the one piece of all of this that Judge Messer didn't have before today. She had the state's sentencing memorandum. She's been involved with this case since the early arrests of Adam and Kayla. She's very intimately familiar with the facts and circumstances. But the one thing she has also never heard is the input that Adam's crimes had, the input on the effect that Adam's crimes had on Harmony's family members. And I think that's going to weigh heavily on her. It's one thing to have a theoretical concept of what Harmony's mother and Harmony's brother and her other family members went through. It's another thing to hear it spelled out from them in such plain and emotional terms as they did today.
Jesse, what did you think about the discussion Benegati was having with the judge about these two other charges here that have not been adjudicated yet, to basically roll them into today's proceedings, offering a witness to testify to those charges, but the judge declining to hear that today? What did you make of that?
Oh, she declined. Okay.
So it's another thing that prosecutors and that the state can raise at sentencing. They can raise that there has been probable cause that the defendant committed additional crimes after the crimes for which he has been convicted, which these two specific gun crimes that the state referred to were. They were committed after Adam murdered Harmony. In many instances, the judges won't necessarily consider that because it's not rolling the sentences into this one. Those are separate crimes, separate charges, and Adam will have separate trials, and if convicted, separate sentences on those cases as well.
And now, Jesse, curious, obviously, early on when you were at the New Hampshire AG's office, you were involved in this case. Are you surprised that we did not hear from Adam Montgomery today, or is that what you expected?
I'm not surprised. And you heard the reason why today from Crystal, from Harmony's mother. Crystal explained, and she's the one who knows Adam probably better than anyone else in that courtroom. Crystal explained that for Adam, it was all about control. He's lost control. When he was arrested and as the investigation progressed, the control was turned over to the state, to the authorities, ultimately to the jury, and now the judge. But the one thing that Adam can control is who knows where Harmony is. He's the only one with that information.
That's the last
and if
thing
for
you can
Adam
control.
it's all about
Yeah.
control, it
Yep.
doesn't surprise me at all that he's not going to reveal that.
It was an interesting moment too, Jesse, when Crystal Story, Harmony's biological mother, got up and left the court when there was a statement being read by Kayla Montgomery, Adam's estranged wife, who was a significant witness in this case. From your perspective, as you begin to gather the evidence and understand what will be forthcoming from the witnesses in discovery, and then when they're put on the stand in this case, now the defense objective here was to paint Kayla as a liar, certainly indicted by the grand jury for lying about this. But at what point did you see the defense effort to paint Kayla as having a more direct role in Harmony's murder starting to break or fail, or did it ever seem to catch fire from your perspective?
I don't think it ever seemed to catch fire. The defense introduced that theory not too long before trial. They introduced it, or they focused on it in their opening statement at trial. But the problem is there was never any evidence of Kayla having any role in Harmony's murder. Kayla admitted herself on the witness stand and under oath to the eventual role she had in, let's say, consolidating Harmony's remains. But as far as Kayla being the one who killed Harmony or having some responsibility for her murder, there's no evidence.
All right, let me get some of the chat, and I also want to talk to you guys about this. People that have been following this story, they know, but this guy's a career criminal, Adam Montgomery. He should not be let out. All right. There was a situation long ago. I love the way they titled this. Let me set this up here real quick.
This case when it came to ultimately getting this conviction from the jury.
Kayla's statement didn't surprise me. Kayla is a victim of domestic violence. And that's not to make any excuses for the horrible things that she did with respect to Harmony and after Harmony's death. But Kayla, look, I started my career prosecuting domestic violence cases. Domestic violence is a complicated relationship, and the victims of domestic violence often have relationships with their abusers that are difficult for people to understand who haven't been through that. Kayla's role in the sentencing hearing today was as a victim of the witness tampering charge, which was directly related to that domestic violence relationship. So it wasn't surprising to me that she focused more on the impact of Adam's domestic violence on her as opposed to anything about Harmony.
Jesse, one of the challenges, at least theoretical challenges.
Yeah, I thought her thing was really disgusting. I mean, we knew that she takes up for this guy. But just the whole focus about, oh, this guy was like cheating on me and blah, blah, blah.
Was evidence presented in that vein? But what?
I don't know if they're just playing over, let me see, Court TV. For now, let me keep this one up here with the audio on. Live. Okay, there we go. That's the actual thing. They're just looping it. But this guy's a career criminal. The article here starts, Harmony Montgomery's junkie dad was awarded custody of the missing little girl despite shooting a man in the face just months before her birth. Adam Montgomery's partner, Crystal Sawyer, was 3 months pregnant with Harmony when her brutal boyfriend blasted a drug dealer, Robert Jacobs, in the chin and narrowly avoided killing him. Crazy. According to a January 2014 record. The bullet traveled up the left side of his face and exited the left temple. Holy moly. This is the... okay. Career criminal. I don't see this guy coming out and having a change of heart. You know, he's holding on to the information with Harmony. I feel like Kayla, the whole thing with Kayla, she was all about saving herself. She only cares about herself. She doesn't care. I don't think she cares about her own kids. She just, all it is she cares about herself, and she's willing to accept this guy that's killed a child in front of her own kids. She's willing to move a body with her kids for this guy. And still, after all this shit, holding this guy down. So, I don't know. Maybe they'll both rot in hell. Speedy Gonzalez, thank you for the 5 months. Says, F you, Adam. Justice for beautiful Harmony. Thank you for the 5-month membership. Sandy Couchin, 5 months. Thank you for covering this, Mel. Thank you so much. BL, 29 months. Wow. Friendly reminder, please show Mel some love and smash the like button. Thank you. Chris, thank you for the membership. Morris, 17, thank you for the 14 months. Says, hey, Mel. I can see him having no statement. I know, right? Thank you for the 14 months. Appreciate that. Deja Vu, 13 months. She will support him in jail when she gets... Yeah. She's going to be with the guy. I hope they both just, after this, disappear and become nothing of anything on the internet. She can keep supporting him and whatever. I would be cautious about her having custody of those kids. Wendy, thank you so much for the 10 memberships. Gifting them, appreciate that. Amazing. Laura, thank you for the 14 months. Says we're going to hear his sentence soon. After that, we forget him. He doesn't exist. Harmony matters. Adam doesn't. Let's forever remember sweet Harmony. Damn, bro. Oh, that's the other thing too about it. That he has no freaking remorse. Even if he he claims he's innocent, he didn't do nothing. But he had no tear for his own daughter dead. And I almost wonder, I don't know, if it's what Crystal said, that maybe this guy saw, and his daughter saw the mother. Type of thing. Crazy, man. That is crazy. Diabolical, man. What else they're saying?
That she believes this is not over. Her search for her daughter, Harmony Montgomery, continues. We have also recently learned, News 9 Investigates has learned that police are continuing this search in areas like that marsh down in the Revere, Massachusetts area, where we have seen police searching in the past as well. Crystal telling us that she's trying to organize independent searches as well. She is putting out the call for other people to join her in that search so that after all of these years, she could hopefully bring her daughter, Harmony Montgomery, back home.
All right, Ross, thank you. And as we await the judge's decision, she's going to come back with her sentence in about 5 minutes from now, she's told us.
About 5 minutes, okay. Yeah, Anna here in the chat says, at the end, she said, see you again, or something along those lines. Crazy, yeah. I mean, I understand, I guess, when they say, like, domestic violence or whatever, but, like, bro, like, a child being murdered in front of you, that's not enough for you to be like, you know what, let me get the hell out of this. The whole thing, I'll follow my kids. You know what the biological mom said? She had said that literally Kayla got pregnant by Adam while Harmony's body was in the ceiling. I'm gonna pull up a clip for you guys for anybody that's missed it. I just how sick and twisted. Like to me, I get what the prosecutor said. This is beyond that shit. The abuser or whatever. I don't think she didn't care for those kids. Talk about now, I'm going to take care of them. I'm going to try to get custody of them to take care of them for us.
So the fact that she didn't lift a finger to get her help, she did nothing, and then decided to just, well, not only that, but, you know, she laid down and got pregnant by him while my daughter was somewhere stashed in this house. That's a little part that
somewhere in the house. I said ceiling. At one point, she was in the ceiling at one of those places they were staying at, but then eventually they put her in like a cooler. I think Kayla's mother's cooler or something like that. I think
everyone else seems to miss is that she did have a third child a month before they got arrested in 2021. She had a daughter. Go figure, right? So that right there is just disgustingly sick. Like, you watched him murder a child and then you laid down with him and had another baby?
There's a lot to... Right? Isn't that nuts?
Sent out for analysis. This is in and around Route 107 in Revere. Not just Manchester Police searching this area. By the way, other agencies, including the Massachusetts State Police, always have also stepped in on that. I
don't believe this guy at all, man. It's not even like one of those things where it's like open for interpretation. I did a video on it, and we went through all the pages of the probable cause affidavit. That video that I did was... How long was that video? That video... I don't know, I just lost it. I had it here somewhere. There are too many windows open. You start closing. I think it was like a 2-hour video. 1 hour and 44 minutes or something. So they should be back in a few minutes. This is the actual live feed. That news channel is just kind of replaying or looping the audio. Yeah, it was 1 hour and 44 minutes. So, you know, but I do feel there's more people involved or that knew more, even more than they said they knew. They were all offered deals and stuff. Just crazy, man. Crazy. Cindy says, Mel, you're going to do panels behind you again? I have the panels on the side in the other room. I don't know if I'm going to do panels. I don't know. I was originally thinking I was going to soundproof this room, but I think the audio probably sounds good enough. The door's open. I could close the door maybe a little bit, but I don't know if I'm going to soundproof the room. I don't really know if it needs it. I think it sounds very clear already. I know, Jesse, the gangster walk that he did when he came in. You could just see it in his face. He's just like pompous, has this attitude, that, like I think Crystal described it, know it all, you know, above everybody type of thing. and he's just holding on to this big secret, and nobody knows but him, and he gets off on that. Crazy, man. And poor Jameson too. I was listening to the dads. Oh, I gotta put the DSM-5 back also. Yeah, plants. You're right. I got one here right now. I like this little one because he's kind of been surviving. Sometimes the leaves go brown. Sometimes right now he's doing really good. Like he's come back. So I got this one in here, but I gotta figure out where I'm gonna put the other ones. I want to make sure they have good lighting and in a nice, comfortable place. I might bring some in here. I think Kayla just did what she had to do to get herself out of a situation. I don't really think she's remorseful either. Even at the beginning of this live stream, we watched her parole hearing, and I almost feel like they were coddling her too. So you're doing better now, right? Yes. And she's over her sniffle thing, her tissue. Yes, I'm doing better. I'm telling the truth. I keep reiterating over and over. I'm telling the truth. I could lie. It's a privilege that I'm telling you the truth. You're lucky that I'm telling you the truth. What a mess. Jeez. Yeah, I'm good. Still gonna DM you my delivery address. Oh yeah, I mean, if you really want it. I said I didn't want to throw it away. I don't know what I was gonna do with it. I do want to keep things very simplistic if possible. I may do like a little. I mean, I'd like to wait till like Monday. I might do another members like update of the place. I'm waiting for some stuff to come for the living room, and let's see. They're just.
He's a very active kid.
Okay, so they're just playing old clips right now. I'm gonna keep the live feed up so we know when they're actually back. Yeah. Her body wasn't her body in the dropped ceiling in the homeless shelter. Yeah, and then at Kayla Montgomery's mother's house in a cooler, and then at some point, well, the CMC bag. I think the CMC bag was after the shower thing that they did, where they thought her. It's so crazy. The details of it's disgusting, and just. And the fact that they had her body at this pizzeria, at the job, in the cooler, just there, in front of everybody. I might move in the plants today. I don't think I can fit all of them in here, but I might move some in today. Almost done unpacking everything. Thanks, Grimes. I'm hoping for a live tonight when I can settle in. A chase would be nice. Something different, yeah. So, yeah, I don't think he's ever going to give up the location. And the thing is, I don't know. Like they said, where's the CMC bag? The bag that he put her in. Because my thing is, like, I don't know if he really just left her out in the woods somewhere, or if he tried to do something where disposing of, like, in a, dumpster or something, which is kind of hard if she ended up being in a landfill. No, I don't think so. I don't think he's going to get a lesser sentence because of the body. Maddie, yeah, she loves her room. She does. She sleeps in there with the dogs. CMC bag, I think, is one of the last places that he stored the body. Like body was in a CMC bag. CMC is it's the name of like a hospital or something, I think. I forgot what CMC was. Let me see. Harmony Montgomery CMC bag. I thought it was some type of medical bag or something. Okay, I got the picture. I'll show you. Okay. I covered this in the video that I did, the hour and 44-minute video, but it's like a view. This was the homeless shelter. So Harmony's body was literally, he stored her body up there. And what happened was I think there was like a complaint for the smell. And so a maintenance guy came and knocked on her door. So he removed her from the top and put her in like a bag or something. And this is the top of the, where the body was, you know. This is the CMC bag and this is the cooler. A maternity tote bag and red cooler in which Harmony Montgomery's remains were stored after her murder, according to the affidavit. So this says Catholic Medical Center, the mom's place, and then there's the cooler. This is the vehicle that he used to dispose of Harmony's remains. U-Haul truck. There was a whole bunch of drama behind that because I don't think he had a driver's license and he had got somebody else to do it or something, and I don't know, went through one or two people. It was a whole freaking mess. There's Harmony. I don't know why people do the things that they do, especially like that with a kid. You know?
Look for help, to look for support, but he didn't. He beat her, and he beat her, and he murdered her.
Okay. We're talking with Jesse O'Neill here, the former prosecutor at the New Hampshire Attorney General's office. We're hearing that folks are heading back into the courtroom now.
Okay.
The 15 minutes or so is up as the judge sounds like she's about to proceed with her sentencing. So let's listen.
The harm that you have caused cannot be overstated.
So sorry, guys.
You took a human life, and you did so in the most callous and heartless of ways. You robbed a 5-year-old girl, your own daughter, of the life that she was to lead. You stole from your sons a sister. You took a daughter from her mother. You were convicted of reckless second-degree murder. Reckless in this context does not mean something that was an accident. It is defined under law as something that manifests the extreme indifference to a human life. Your extreme indifference to the value of human life is seen in so many of your actions in this case. In 2019, you beat Harmony. In the words of your uncle, her eye was fully black and blue like a raccoon eye, is what he said. Your words, when asked, were, quote, I bashed her around the effing house. The crimes that you have committed and the harm that you have caused cannot be overstated.
Oh my God. Where's
You took a human life.
Okay, sorry, they're delayed there. Oof.
Her once, you punched her in the head repeatedly. You beat her in the car while at stoplights, more than one time. You knew that she was severely injured, yet you covered her with a blanket and didn't check on her until after you took her lifeless body from the car. And then, after her death, you treated her body like it was trash, worse than trash. You did unimaginable things to her body, and all in an effort to save yourself from being discovered as her murderer. And then, on top of that, you threatened, abused, and beat your wife to keep her silent.
Look at his
Your
facial
criminal
reaction.
history similarly reflects your extreme indifference to the value of human life. Your actions having taken both a physical and emotional toll on so many. In 2008, you were convicted of criminal threatening after pointing a knife at a 15-year-old girl. In 2010, you were convicted of armed robbery and assault and battery with a dangerous weapon in a home invasion incident in which it was reported that you held up a woman at gunpoint, terrorizing her to the point that she lost control of her bodily functions. In 2009, you were convicted of first-degree assault for stabbing another person. In 2014, you were convicted of assault and battery with a dangerous weapon and larceny in a case in which it was reported that you shot a man in the face.
In 2019, you were convicted of 2 counts of armed career criminal, 2 counts of theft, and 2 counts of receiving stolen property, all of the charges stemming from the thefts of firearms, guns, exchanges of guns for drugs and money. The court has to consider 3 primary goals of sentencing: punishment, deterrence, and rehabilitation. The focus today is on your convictions in this case: second-degree murder, falsifying physical evidence, witness tampering, abuse of a corpse, and second-degree assault. But the prior convictions are important, and they're important as well, as each of them reflects not just your extensive criminal conduct, but each of them represents an opportunity after sentencing for you to have changed the trajectory of your life, to change how you were treating other people. But you were either unwilling or unable to do so. And as a result, at this point, the court has the responsibility to impose a sentence that not only punishes you harshly for the crimes that you have committed, but considers deterrence, that is, how to keep you from hurting others. In light of the egregious nature of the crimes of which you have been convicted in this case, and taking into consideration your extremely violent criminal history, the court finds the only way to do this is to keep you off the streets. To the extent you seek to rehabilitate yourself, that will have to happen behind the prison walls. Harmony was an innocent 5-year-old girl. You treated her in the worst of possible ways, in both her life and in her death. Therefore, the court sentences you as follows. On charge ID 2027112C, the charge of second-degree murder, you are sentenced to the New Hampshire State Prison for not more than life nor less than 45 years. That sentence is stand committed. That sentence is consecutive. All of these sentences, I should say now, are consecutive to each other, as well as consecutive to docket 216-2022 CR 577, which are the sentences that you're currently serving. Additionally, you're to participate meaningfully and complete any counseling, treatment, or education programs as directed by the correctional authority or probation, parole. Law enforcement agencies may return evidence to its rightful owner. You are ordered to be of good conduct and comply with all the terms of this sentence. This is also consecutive to the second-degree assault charge in the docket ending in 20. That is charge ID 1937947C. Do you have any questions about that sentence?
Nope.
On charge ID 2027113C, falsifying physical evidence. On this charge, you are sentenced to New Hampshire State Prison for not more than 7 years nor 3.5 years. This sentence is stand committed, consecutive to all of the other charges that I'm about to read you, as well as consecutive to the second-degree assault charge in the docket ending in 20 and the sentences that you are presently serving. You do have the obligation, as with the other sentences, to meaningfully participate in programming as directed by the correctional authority or probation, parole. You're ordered to be of good conduct and comply with all the terms of that sentence. On the charge of tampering with witnesses and informants, you are sentenced to New Hampshire State Prison for not more than 7 years nor less than 3.5 years. Again, this sentence is consecutive to the additional sentences that I've read to you that I'm reading to you in this case, as well as docket ending in 20 and the sentences that you are presently serving. You have the same obligations for participation in programming, and law enforcement may return evidence to its rightful owner. On the abuse of corpse charge, on this charge, you are sentenced to the maximum penalty of 12 months at the House of Correction. All of this sentence is suspended for 25 years. If it were to be imposed, it would be consecutive to the sentences that I read to you. And on this charge, you will also have the provision of a no contact order, and that is no contact with the Sorey family, the Miller family, and the Rafferty family.
that sentence is also consecutive, were to be imposed to all of the other sentences in this case and the sentence you're currently serving. On the second degree assault charge ID 1937947C, you are sentenced to New Hampshire State Prison for not more than 8 years nor less than 4 years. This sentence is consecutive to the sentences in docket 216-2022 CR 2372. This is charge ID 1937947C. On this charge, you have the additional requirement, as you have in the other cases, to meaningfully participate in programming. Law enforcement agencies may return evidence to its rightful owner, and you're obligated to be of good behavior and comply with all the terms of the sentence. Do you have any question about those sentences?
No, I do not.
All right, before you go, counsel approach, please.
You can tell it's kind of, so I got 45 to life is what I heard. I mean,
and you have been listening to Judge Amy Messer issue her sentence now for convicted killer Adam Montgomery. All of this to be served at the New Hampshire State Prison on the charge of second-degree murder in the death of Harmony Montgomery, 45 years. On the charge of second-degree assault, 4 to 8 years. For falsifying physical evidence, 7 years. Witness tampering, 7 years. And Steve, on the charge of abuse of corpse, 12 months suspended. All of these to run consecutive.
For those in these matters. The clerk will now address you regarding sentence review.
So that means
You are hereby notified that you have the right to apply for review of the state prison sentence imposed on you on May 9th, 2024. The application may be filed within 30 days after the date of the sentence, but not thereafter except for good cause shown. If you file such an application, your sentence will be reviewed by a board of 3 members who will be either judicial referees and/or superior court judges. Review of the sentence may result in a decrease or increase of the minimum or maximum term within the limits fixed by law, or there may be no change in the sentence. A form for making application, if you wish to do so, is set forth below. Mr. Montgomery, this applies for both cases 216-2022 CR 20 and 216-2022 CR 2372. I'll leave those with you.
Do you want to sign in now? Yeah.
So that means one after the other.
Anything further for the state?
At the same time.
Thank you.
Anything further from you, Attorney Smith? Thank you, everybody.
All right, watch there as the judge exits the courtroom. Sentencing now complete. Jen, you just listed off the decades, ultimately, that the judge just sentenced Adam Montgomery to. And importantly to note here, those are all being served consecutively, meaning one after the other, after the other, after the other. And this is on top of the previous gun and career criminal charges he is already in the New Hampshire State Prison for. And so you add that to what this sentence is now today, and you are looking at what could effectively be a life sentence behind bars for Adam Montgomery when you add up the totality of these various charges.
Right, the remainder of his natural life. A couple of things that the judge spoke of in her sentencing of Adam Montgomery, saying he took a human life and robbed Harmony of her life, took a sister and a daughter. Also, she made a point here to run through Adam Montgomery's extensive criminal record, pointing to every charge over a decade's worth, and saying that these priors are important in understanding the level of remorse or ability for rehabilitation exhibited by Adam Montgomery, and calling that 0, a non-factor. Also going on to say he exhibited an extreme indifference to life, but declared that occurring in so many instances of course, the most pivotal one, the death of his own daughter here, Steve and Jesse, but beyond that, to the victims of all of these crimes that he has been convicted of and is serving time now throughout his life.
Yeah, so Jesse O'Neill, former prosecutor, back here with us. And Jesse, I was struck by when the judge essentially went through that litany of previous and escalating criminal violence.
I didn't even know
and ended
all those
with,
charges in.
how do we keep you from hurting others? And then we saw this sentence imposed. I'm curious about your thoughts when it comes to this sentencing and what it means.
So this is a powerful sentence, but one of the considerations that a judge has to take into account when they're determining the appropriate sentence is the defendant's capacity to be rehabilitated, that they could recover and become a law-abiding member of society. So by going through Adam's criminal history, Judge Messer was pointing out all of the many opportunities, going back to about 13 years before he killed Harmony, all of the many opportunities, the many sentences he had where he could have rehabilitated, he could have changed the direction of his life, but he didn't. And instead of changing the direction of his life, it instead escalated to the murder of his daughter.
It's also notable too, Jesse, as we lay people try to understand what a sentence means. There's the option of running it consecutive and running these concurrent. So when they're consecutive, as these sentences all are now, that in itself is a statement on the level of crime and the level of criminal history here. Yes?
It is. It's a statement, and it's a way to keep him in prison for longer, which Judge Messer indicated was the intent of her sentence. When a sentence is standalone or perhaps concurrent, meaning running at the same time, and you hit your parole date and you're granted parole, you parole and you walk out of the prison. You're still under the sentence, but you're not living behind the walls. Instead, though, when sentences are run consecutively and you parole out of one sentence, you parole into the beginning of the next sentence. So if I understand the order of the sentences correctly, Adam's going to have to serve the first minimum 4 years on the abuse charge. If he paroles from that, he'll parole to the 45 years on the murder charge. If he paroles from that, he'll parole to 3.5 years, and it just keeps going and going, not paroling onto the streets, but just paroling into a new sentence, newly beginning for the next charge on the list.
And so obviously, Jesse, in our system of American jurisprudence, you have the right to appeal these convictions. You have a right to appeal the sentences. Was there anything that you saw over the course of this case that makes you think that, if an appellate court looks at this, there might be anything there for him?
I won't try and predict what an appellate court might do. I know he's going to try. I know he's already filed an appeal on the earlier conviction in the gun case. I'm sure he's going to file an appeal on this case. I'm sure he's going to be represented by very competent counsel who's going to do the best that they possibly can for him. Through the appellate process, though, it gets more and more difficult to overturn a conviction. The trial judge, Judge Messer, and the factual findings of the jury are granted great deference. So I'm sure he's going to try and appeal this conviction or the sentence or both, but he has an uphill battle ahead of him.
Jesse, I want to revisit with you the effort made by the prosecutor here, Ben Agati, in the beginning of this sentencing, saying directly to Adam, hey, here's your chance. If you will cough up right now the location of Harmony's body, which you have failed to do so far, the state will work with you on that. And then within 7 days, Manchester police can activate that search on your new information and potentially find Harmony, bring comfort to her loved ones left behind. And in response to that, there was no response. Adam Montgomery remained silent on that. Ben Agati went on to say that in itself is a statement. The argument, however, offered by Caroline Smith, who is the defense attorney for Adam Montgomery, called that a stunt, basically, and then said to the judge directly, you cannot use Adam's silence, given that he maintains his innocence, in response to that the state request for information on her location in his sentencing, but rather, if he did speak up, it would be a violation of his right not to self-incriminate. What did you make of all that?
I don't think it was a stunt by the state in this case. I think there's ample evidence beyond what the state did in its sentencing argument. I think there's ample evidence of Adam not showing remorse for his crimes. And the first thing that comes to mind is a piece of evidence that came out during the murder trial, which was a phone call Adam made from jail after he had been arrested, but while the search for Harmony was still ongoing, as it continues to be. Adam from jail learned of the searches ongoing, and he commented in this recorded phone call that it was a waste of time. So to the extent the judge needs evidence or relied on evidence that Adam didn't have any remorse for these crimes, there was ample evidence for her to consider outside of what the state said.
Now, to the best of your knowledge, was there ever a point where prosecutors and Adam Montgomery were
Let me play this here.
Has not physically been in the courtroom since the first day of jury selection. Today, those jurors at least got to hear his voice. The voice of Adam Montgomery played in court from a jailhouse phone call. Montgomery is heard talking about the massive search effort underway for Harmony, his 5-year-old daughter. Prosecutors allege Montgomery fatally beat Harmony in December of 2019. The assault, punishment for the girl's bathroom accidents. He's also accused of hiding and disposing her body. The remains have not been found.
It's the most important investigation we've ever worked on.
Today, a friend of Adam Montgomery testifying about what he said in 2021, claiming his daughter was back with her mother because of those bathroom accidents.
He put her in the corner, in her soiled pants.
Wow.
But that she would repeat it when she'd get in the car. She'd have an accident, but he said it was on purpose.
On purpose?
Yes.
That's what he said.
Correct.
The defense today attempting to dismiss nearly all of the charges because the state's key witness, Harmony's stepmother, is a convicted perjurer.
Her story itself went through various iterations, and
Elaine,
quite frankly, I think we're...
Yeah, I don't know if he did something to ensure that they don't find her. That's what I mentioned earlier. Like, I don't know if they, he did something else.
U-Haul or gone through other people to rent a U-Haul to dispose of Harmony's body. Police found evidence to corroborate that. And those are just 2 examples out of many. So what the state was able to effectively demonstrate to the jury was, yes, the defense is calling her a liar. Yes, there's nothing to necessarily corroborate what Kayla says happened in the car, but there's all of this other evidence to corroborate the other things she said. Therefore, she can be believed as to what happened in the car. Also, by exploring through Kayla the domestic violence and the efforts by Adam to influence her testimony and helping the jury understand the dynamic of that relationship, it also bolstered her credibility.
And I do want to mention for viewers as we continue this conversation that in a few moments, or at any moment, we are expecting to hear, now that the sentencing is done, from prosecutors after the fact. We're waiting to see if there's going to be a press conference that could be happening. And so we are monitoring that situation for you. And of course, as soon as that begins, if it does, we will bring that to you live right here so we can hear, the immediate reaction from the state, as there's now been this 45-year to life in prison sentence for Adam Montgomery on the murder charge, along with a list of other charges that he will serve consecutively. Jesse, real quick, I do want to get your take on this. I mean, this has been in our state collective thought and part of our conversation for years now. It has been an incredibly exhaustive investigative effort and prosecutorial effort. What does today mean for all the folks who have worked on this case?
Today is an important moment, but I think it's important to stress that this cannot be the end. Harmony is still out there, and while it seems that Adam will likely never reveal the location of her remains, they are there and they can still be found. I know that with this conviction and sentencing, the fervor may die down, but I hope it does not. This case cannot end today. She must be found.
And Jesse, to reiterate that too, there have been multiple searches. Investigators are focusing on an area of wetlands. This is along Route 107 down in Revere, Massachusetts. Multiple confirmed searches for Harmony Montgomery's remains. And in fact, some action on this just in the last couple of weeks. We have confirmed there were drones sent up to further search this area, and then any video evidence from that event has been sent out for further analysis. Perhaps they can see if the topography has changed. Perhaps they can see something they might have missed before. But you bring up such a huge point in all of this because, well, today is a win for so many people, and a credit to the investigative work, Steve, that you mentioned for years and years and years. It does not diminish the fact that Harmony has never been found.
The police worked really hard on this case. Multiple law enforcement agencies worked hard on this case. Civilians called in tips from around the country on this case. A lot of people's efforts culminated in a result today that goes a long way towards bringing justice for Harmony and for what Adam did to her. In my mind, though, that justice won't truly be fulfilled until she's found and put to rest.
Yeah. And now, Jesse, as we look at kind of what happens next here, we talked about the appeal. Obviously, the investigative efforts continue with this. Is there any other litigation that you can see? Can family members bring claims or things like this now that this has all been adjudicated? And before you answer, I do want to point out for our viewers, we do now see this podium with all the different press flags there, all the different microphones. So as soon as this press conference starts, we will.
So they're going to do a press conference. We'll see what's up with that. Wow. Well, rest in peace to Harmony. And yeah, it's just crazy. Crazy. But maybe finally that's it with this guy. Well, he does have, they said 2 other trials, I guess, right? I guess the gun stuff. That's the Marsh Road and Revere Sagas line. Kick, what's up, man? Kick Rocks.
A reporter outside, Ross Katchke, who did manage to catch up with Crystal Story, who is Harmony Montgomery's biological mother, and spoke to her. Obviously, a very heavy day. Ross, was Crystal able to express any sense of relief that at least this part has come to an end?
Well, it certainly was a very emotional day for Crystal Story here. She gave her victim impact statement inside the courthouse today through tears. She was also crying as she spoke to us, a lot of emotions to process. And she did say that there is some level of closure that this brings. But in a recent conversation with us, she also said that no sentencing, no matter what the judge ruled today, that decision would not bring Harmony back. And that continues to be her primary focus. She says even with this sentencing today, she wants the focus to remain on that ongoing search for Harmony. We were just speaking a few minutes ago about that ongoing search, focusing in on that area down in Revere, Massachusetts. Police recently using drones. Last year, we saw dozens of police officers combing over those wetlands, that marsh area that straddles Saugus, Massachusetts and Revere, Massachusetts. And Crystal telling us that she's even trying to rally the public to join her in independent searches to bring her daughter home. And it was very difficult for her to stand up today. She was one of the first of the family members and loved ones who stood up to give those victim impact statements today. She then had to leave the courthouse because of another family commitment, she told us today. But let's take a listen to what she had to say when we asked about what it meant to stand up and look Adam Montgomery in the eye.
It's really bad when you have to see it for yourself and you see that he really didn't care about her at all.
No remorse?
No, absolutely no remorse. Just sitting there, wouldn't even look at any of us.
He's a coward.
Yeah, he's just a coward. Like,
Crystal Story also calling Adam Montgomery the monster who killed her baby and a coward, but she ended her victim impact statement today by saying, quote, "My love for Harmony outweighs my hatred for you," and her search for her daughter now continues.
We want to take you live to where that press briefing is occurring. These are the adoptive parents of Harmony Montgomery's sister. Brother that is Jameson. Yep. Let's listen in.
The reality is that Adam Montgomery will stay in prison till at least being 118 years old. And that works. That's where he belongs. And so we're thankful to the judge. We're thankful to the Attorney General's office. And thankful to everyone who's been very supportive to us this week on behalf of our son, Jameson.
Today, we looked evil in the eye. We saw the person that took our son's sister away. Today, this ends in the courtroom, and we're glad that monster is put away forever. But today doesn't end for her son. He's still going to ask, what happened to my sister? Where is she at? Why did someone hurt her? And those are going to be really tough questions that we have to ask, that we have to answer. We want to thank this community. Harmony became everyone's daughter, everyone's sister. And without the support of all of you, this community, the police, this justice system, justice would not have been served today. But it was. And this is not a celebration for us, but we can tell Jameson that the monster was put away forever today. And we can never replace his sister, but we can tell him that he can't hurt anyone else.
I know that we've long talked about this case, but the reality is, unfortunately, if there was another Harmony Montgomery today, another Harmony Montgomery could still happen. We certainly all this needed to happen, but we also need to look at what's happening when it comes to child welfare and to make sure this does not happen again, whether it's the state of Massachusetts, New Hampshire, or any state in this country. And that has always been something that we are committed to on behalf of our son, but also on behalf of Harmony. So that's what we look forward to next, is change happening. But we certainly are pleased with what happened here today.
Is that what you're advocating for in Massachusetts for this Harmony Commission? I don't know if you've been given an update. Are you pleased or not pleased with the pace of moving that forward?
Absolutely not, because what's changed to stop another Harmony Montgomery today? This is so much about Harmony and Jameson, but this is also about so many of the most other vulnerable children, and they're all of our responsibility that we have to protect them. This was preventable. That she was beat in a car. When we all heard all the crimes that he had committed way before he got custody of Harmony, I looked at my husband and I said, how did he leave? How did Harmony leave such a loving home in her foster family? How was she not kept with her brother and living with us today? How are they ripped apart? And that has to change, because it could save these children's lives.
I think the biggest thing we ask is, what is it going to take to create the change? Because we've met with lawmakers. We've spoken with governor's offices. We've spoken with lawmakers in Washington. What is it going to take? There's already been a child that has been killed in a manner that none of us can even imagine. What will it take to create the change? And this should have been in place days after.
Jameson always ends most things when he talks about his sister, and he says, "I love you, big sister." And we let him know that even though she can't tell him, she loves him too.
Blair, what is that in your left hand there?
Jameson's mom, Crystal, gave this to us today to give to Jameson. And it has a picture of Harmony on the other side of it, which is very important to Jameson. It's very important to us. It's very important to our son that he knows Harmony's story, and he knows his story with her as well, and that doesn't get lost. Sadly, we have too many of these things that remind us of the tragedy and not the celebrations that should still exist. And so it's so sweet, but it's also so tragic.
Today's not a celebration for us. It's I think we want to get home and hug our three boys and tell them how much we love them and how lucky we are to be their dads.
I also want to say one other thing. If you look back over there, you see officers of the Manchester Police Department. And I can't imagine what it's been like for them to deal with the realities of this. And we are so thankful for the law enforcement, the first responders, the people who kept this in the public eye, the people who have listened, the people who've been searching. Just inside, people are telling us about the searches they're still doing. And that matters. And we are thankful. We know our son that will be the bright spot for him when he turns 15, 20, 25, goes down a rabbit hole of what's happened in his life. The bright spot in this will be those who've been out there fighting for Harmony and fighting for him.
You and I have a really hard time processing these details. They're stomaching to hear the gruesome things Adam did to his own daughter, our son's sister, Harmony. But is what Jameson will never forget is every helper, every police officer, whether that's at the local level or the federal level. That it's for every person in this community that shared her story. It's for everyone that fought and continue to fight to bring her home. And we hope one day that she's found. So he has a place. Crystal, their mom, has a place to go and remember her. They should have that right.
Thank you, guys. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
That was Blair Miller and Jonathan Bobbitt Miller, the adoptive fathers of Harmony's biological brother, Jameson. They also presented a statement written by their now 7-year-old son, Jameson, in court earlier, saying, in his words, "I love Harmony. I miss her. My sister had beautiful eyes and always asks about her glasses." This is Prosecutor Benegati stepping forward now. Let's listen in.
Agati. I'm a senior assistant attorney general here for the state of New Hampshire, currently chief of the homicide unit. With me is Christopher Knowles, Knowles, an assistant attorney general also assigned to this matter. And of course, Chief Aldenberg of the Manchester Police Department, who has been here since the beginning. I imagine just briefly, there's a couple of things I can say today, actually. Most of the time I can't tell you folks much, but today obviously it's after sentencing. So as you heard upstairs, the court did provide a sentence, and the sentence being essentially, when you add them together from the consecutive nature of how they were imposed, being 56 years to life sentence. These 56 years is consecutive to those that he has already been sentenced to in the other docket matter from last year of armed career criminals offenses, as well as theft by unauthorized taking, and that was an aggregate of 32.5 to 67 years. So in aggregate here, and I've been asked just a moment ago, I do not have the exact calculation, but certainly based upon the defendant's age at this point, I believe that he would hit his minimum parole date on these at around either 115 or 118 years old.
Wow.
But they are 2 consecutive sentences. That being said, today is truly about Harmony, I would say, and I think you've heard that from all of the different victims' family members from here and from afar who were able to come forward and provide their statement to the court. The presentation that the state made obviously was trying to make sure the court found a good balance between punishment, deterrent, and rehabilitation. She certainly agreed with what the state's recommendation was, and that is what she has imposed. Again, I think what was also tremendous that you may have seen today is the men and women of the Manchester Police Department who were here, and all of our federal partners, state partners out there who could not be with us, some who were and some who couldn't be here, who helped make this basically possible by going and finding the evidence and presenting that evidence in front of the jury. At that point, I'm very happy to take any questions at any time, if anyone might have one. Go ahead, sir. At the start of it, you obviously made that offer to Adam to tell you guys where. Yes, I did not discuss any sort of plea offers that may or may not have been made outside of the courtroom. That was a recommendation. And as you may have heard me say to the judge, it's completely in the judge's control what the sentence would be. But the state was willing to change its recommendation from what it presented to the court if he was going to provide us with where she was. He admitted in closing statements and through even his opening statements that the jury could find him guilty of falsifying physical evidence and abuse of a corpse directly, which are on point dealing with where Harmony is, wherever she is right now. So with regards to that, I don't know that the argument that somehow maintaining his innocence works when that's what he articulated to the court about those 2 charges. We were very much hoping that he would share those details. He seems determined to keep those details to himself. Did you have hope, though, that he might take you up today on that? I did, certainly. And I think everybody who has been trying to find her had that exact same hope.
Mr. Gotti,
Yes.
are there any avenues for you to continue to try to get that information at this point?
At this point, I think it's up to the defendant, whether the defendant ever chooses to reveal that information to anyone or not. That is his choice. That doesn't mean that the search will stop or that the Manchester Police Department and their partners are going to follow up on leads that come in. But right now, we were really hoping that he would be able to share that information and be willing to do that. He chose not to. That's his right. But that's what he did today.
Is there any update on the search right now, where it's at right now?
I can tell you, I believe, was it, Chief, about 2 weeks ago was the last time that Manchester went out for another search that was done in a different area, similar to the same locations that we've talked about before. Unfortunately, they were not fruitful at the time.
But I thought the judge gave him a suspension.
No, it would still be 56 because the way that the state's presentation that we originally proposed to the court, it's written in the sentencing memorandum, that 12 months on the abuse of corpse charge was the only one that was going to be served concurrent. So at the same time as the falsified physical evidence charge, the court instead made it to be consecutive but suspended. So it's a consecutive suspended 12 months that's hanging over his head for him to maintain and for the next 20 years have no contact with those families. Practically, it's the same result, yes, with the addition of the no contact order. But that's also something that the Department of Corrections may choose to put on him as part of a condition, but that's up to the Department of Corrections to do. So, were there any other questions that I could answer for anyone?
Let's talk to Chief.
Certainly. I'm happy to let Chief.
Chief, we first heard about this story from you 2.5 years ago, this case. It's been a really long road for you. How are you feeling today?
Nobody wins, right? I mean, it's a bittersweet day. The team back in the room, I'm looking at them all now. I said this last time I stood up here. Jack, Max, Lieutenant, Captain Layton, Captain Larochelle, Billy Tuss from the United States Marshal Service, who's been with this case from the get-go, Scott Riley. I don't want to leave anybody out, but yeah, it's a horrible, horrible case. Mr. Montgomery had a chance today to, again, I've said this before, yet another opportunity to do one decent, good thing in his life. And again, he passed that up. So we'll keep working it. We'll keep working hard to do our part to locate Harmony and bring her home. I'm grateful to the two attorneys sitting out to my right here who have been here from the get-go, and Jesse O'Neill as well, who was with us from day one. These are, I've said it before, these are extremely talented people that work for the state of New Hampshire Attorney General's office. I don't think the state realizes how fortunate they are to have people like this that sacrifice many things in their personal life, their own time, after hours, weekends, nights, just like my team does. But so, gentlemen, thank you. Thank you to the team at the back. I'm thankful to the media who's kept this story alive and in the news and kept Harmony's face out there. I think that's critically important. So I'm thankful for that. It's not a fun day for Manchester PD. It's not a, we're not going to go back and, be all smiles. We're grateful to the judge, Judge Messer, for hearing us, and for the jury for sitting through what they had to sit through for that period of time. So I'm thankful for the process and grateful to be where we're at. It's been a long road.
Chief, do you think the system has changed at all? Could there be another Harmony Montgomery out there now or in the future?
That's not for me to, Manchester PD can do our part to make sure that doesn't happen. What happens beyond that and the partnerships that we have with other agencies that interact with children, we're working, to keep those relationships positive. And my hope is that this never happens again. And I don't, nobody wants that works in this field or works in the field with children. Nobody sets out for that to happen. So we'll continue to take steps to make sure that this does not happen again in the state of New Hampshire or anywhere else.
You're all set with the chief, and you're all set with us. And thank you for your time. And I believe that hopefully there may be some other family members here who are willing to talk with you. I don't know. But thank you very much.
Ben, could you quickly address the appeals process for Montgomery?
The appeals process?
Yeah.
Yes.
You get one?
Yes, he certainly has a right to appeal the convictions that he's had here today. He has the right to sentence review, so he may seek that as well. Typically, sentence review is not done until after the appeals are over with. That's typical of how the court will act. But that process will begin. That usually takes anywhere from 24 to 36 months to complete.
Are you aware of them filing or planning to file any appeals?
I have not had a matter that's gone to trial where a person has not filed an appeal afterwards, so I would imagine that he will certainly file an appeal.
He discloses information about the whereabouts. Would that factor into the appellate?
Likely no. The appellate process is really designed to ensure that the law was followed by the court as the trial went forward. That's what that's designed to address. So if you were to share that information later on, that would be something else that we'd have to address separately.
One more quick question.
Yes.
There are 2 other weapons trials on the docket for this man.
That's correct. We have a status conference that's scheduled in a couple of weeks.
You will go forward with those?
At this point in time, we certainly want to review all of the acts that are going on today. You heard us mention those, that they are still outstanding. And that is certainly something that we'll take a look at and decide what's going to be happening going forward. But I'm not able to give any concrete answer on that status conference. It was enough to prepare for today and get today off the ground. That's another day to prepare for. Okay. All right. Thank you, everyone.
Is Elaine's people coming out, the defense?
Comments just made by Prosecutor Benegati and Manchester Police Chief Alan Aldenberg, both commenting on what has been an extreme long road for both agencies, commenting on the case, the sentencing imposed by this judge. Agati saying that the judge imposing 56 years to life consecutive to be served, consecutive to the sentences Adam Montgomery is already serving, that this is an effective life sentence, that he would hit the age of potential parole at about 118 years old.
And we've been keeping our eyes on those microphones. If other family members step up, we will bring that to you live if we're able. We do want to go to someone who has been at this courtroom during this and during, honestly, much of this trial and in our coverage leading up to this trial and in the search for Harmony Montgomery. That is WMUR's Tim Callery, who was in the courtroom during today's sentencing. Tim, tell us what it was like in there and your reactions to all of this.
Well, Steve, it was another very emotional day here at the courthouse. It reminded me of the day we were here just about 3 months ago, back in February, waiting for that verdict to come down after Adam Montgomery's trial. The atmosphere was intense. The gallery was packed with people. You had family members of Harmony Montgomery. Of course, her mother, Crystal Sorey, was there. You had the parents of her brother, Jamison Miller, also there, and you also had other extended family members of Harmony Montgomery. Also in the gallery were dozens of law enforcement officers from the Manchester Police Department who have worked tirelessly.
All right. So that's the. I guess we somewhat turned the page on that chapter. I don't know what else is going to come this, whether it's from Adam. I don't think he's going to get win the appeals. Or from Kayla or anybody else, I don't know. We will see. But yeah, he's not getting out anytime soon. He has the previous charges plus the new charges, and I don't know if there's other potential charges they could bring up on him. So, and still, I guess he's gonna take it to his grave. The last of what happened to Harmony, where he took her, stuff like that. Crazy. Insanity. All right, I'm going to get off for now, but please like and subscribe if you haven't done so already. Rest in peace and condolences to Harmony Montgomery, and also Heels in the Air that passed away. I made a community post earlier. I was very surprised to hear that this morning. I didn't know her well, but I knew she watched the channel. We had a few DM conversations. She was a longtime friend of Trish, and Trish is really nice, Web Sleuths. And I know she watched the channel. She was a member, and she was like supportive. And I used to watch some of her videos. I like her intros, however that thing goes. So yeah, man, you just never know when your time's coming. And appreciate what you have, because shit, like anything can happen any moment. All right. And yeah, I'll catch you guys later. We'll see if anything pops off today as far as a chase or something else. I'll keep you guys posted. All right. Take care. Peace. Bye. Bloop, bloop, bloop. Bloop. You can check my community post. If you check my community post, you'll see on YouTube I made a post. Heels in the Air. Next April. Take care, guys. Peace.